Thank you for tuning in to this previously recorded webinar. Mercent is pleased to join Marin Software for this webinar titled, Preparing for Holiday Success with PLAs. Before we begin, it's important to note that this presentation was recorded on August 22, 2013. At the time of this recording, all information presented was current and up to date. As is the nature of e-commerce, it's likely that new features or changes have been made to Google PLAs since the time of this recording. Please contact Mercent or Marin Software for information about the most current features of this program and how to get started.
So with that, I'll introduce our presenters. Anthony Guarino is Mercent's Director of Shopping Programs. He oversees shopping feed strategy and practice at Mercent. He provides guidance to Mercent retail clients on new opportunities for online customer acquisition. Prior to this role, Anthony spent several years at Mercent as a client marketing manager, managing the daily campaigns for Mercent's Internet Retailer 500 clients. Anthony has been a speaker at SMX, Shop.org, and IRCE on the topic of online retail advertising and the emergence of the product ad format. He's joined by Kai Mu, Senior Product Marketing Manager at Marin Software. Kai joined Marin in early 2011 and has been in the online marketing industry since 2008. Kai works closely with all of Marin's certified partners, including Mercent, to better position Marin's platform and capabilities through white papers, case studies, blog posts, and webinars. Today's discussion will focus on the questions that we've heard from retailers regarding product listing ads and how to best position ads and ad spend for successful holiday selling season. We'll start off with the unique partnership between Marin Software and Mercent, then dive right into the specifics of Google Shopping and recent changes to Google PLAs. We'll also offer our perspective on findings from the 2012 holiday season and how they relate to current PLA trends. And we'll close it out with holiday best practices that will help ensure that you have a successful holiday selling season. With that, I'm pleased to turn it over to Anthony Guarino and Kai Mu. Gentlemen?
Thanks, Danny. So first I want to give a little bit of a background about Mercent. For many of you currently on the call today, you may be familiar with our company. We operate a retail advertising SaaS platform, as well as providing data optimization services to over 500 major retail brands. Our mission at Mercent is to ensure that our retail clients are visible on all relative online retail channels, competitively priced, and their overall ad campaigns are competitively marketed, as well as the end result for retailers, which is making sure that all campaigns are profitable, net of cost of goods, fulfillment costs, as well as advertising spend. Our focus begins with monitoring the market, understanding the competitive set for your product mix and your product assortment, setting the offer, be it adjusting price or optimizing bids to best display your products within the context of the retail environment, serving the offer, making sure the ad is optimized or the price is highly targeted towards the individual retail set, and finally, having deep analytics to track the results in ways that only retailers can focus, including things like cost of goods sold and overall gross profit margin down to the product category or brand level. I'd like to turn it over to Kai Mu to give a brief description of Marin.
Thanks, Anthony. Hi, everyone. So just to give a little bit of background on Marin Software, Marin is the leader in revenue acquisition management. Hundreds of retail advertisers and agencies use Marin's platform to manage more than $4 billion in annualized ad spend. Specifically, 22% of Marin's revenue is generated by our retailers. Marin helps these brands like Gap, Fossil, and Vistaprint to improve financial performance, save time, and make better decisions through our platform. So how does Marin Software and Mercent help retailers drive revenue? Well, Marin Software and Mercent have a certified partnership that enables a streamlined workflow for dynamic campaigns and feed management. Our clients are able to deploy dynamic campaigns faster and more reliably. And our partnership also allows them to efficiently manage their Merchant Center feed, which plugs into AdWords and subsequently into Marin's platform. Combined, our solutions enable retailers to adapt quickly to shifts in business requirements like inventory and price changes and the competitive landscape like increases in bids and keyword opportunities. So with that, I'd like to hand it over to Anthony to walk through the recent changes to Google PLAs.
Thanks, Kai. So in the last year and a half, there's been a lot of changes in the PLA landscape. We wanted to spend some time first today to talk about and describe some of those individual changes and how they may affect all of the retailers on today's call during holiday. First off, one of the most exciting programs to come out of the last few months is what Google's called Merchant Promotions. Merchant Promotions has been in beta for about a year, and the team at Mercent's been working with Google to help build the data feed attributes required to serve individualized promotions on the SERP. This program recently rolled out on Google's main search end result page and is now being displayed along product listing ads, as you can see on the left-hand side. It's important to note this is currently a free program. Retailers are only charged the typical ad spend that they're currently paying for the PLA ad. However, they do receive additional placement as well as a special offer call-out you can see in the screenshot below their PLA ad. This does require an additional data feed as well as additional annotation of products within the feed that are inclusive within an individual promotion. It's also important to note that just recently Google's began to surface these promotion clicks as a separate click type within AdWords reporting. So you can now see the actual clicks and correspondence and interaction with a promotion as a user hovers over the promotion on the PLA ad. We believe this will be an important differentiator for all retailers that have relative promotions during holiday, as it allows their PLA ads to stand out, as well as improve click-through rate and ultimately conversion. I think it's also important to note this is a good way to solve the attribution problem for retailers. A lot of retailers find that consumers put a product in cart and ultimately go and look for coupon codes. We believe that through the Merchant Promotions program, retailers can have tighter control over their attribution funnel and ultimately avoid double spending between search and other affiliate programs. Next, we wanted to talk about the emergence of smartphone PLAs. Of course, Google has been testing PLAs on smartphones for several months, but just recently, they've really began to ramp up the overall impressions served on mobile devices for PLA ads. First off, it's important to note the context of these ads. Think about things like location and other factors that may be different on a shopper that's using a mobile device versus using desktop or tablet. It's also important to note the smaller form factor. These are smaller ads and they are serving an image. As a result, Google's currently testing displays on their mobile SERP that show a limited data set. As you can see on the left, things like product titles are currently not commonly displayed on a product listing ad. Therefore, the image and the quality of your image becomes even more important on these PLA ads. Closely cropped and high quality images are very critical for retailers looking to participate in mobile product listing ads. Think about the new implications for enhanced campaigns location adjustments. This will be an important factor in the holiday as retailers begin and continue to expand and target specifically for mobile devices within enhanced campaigns. Another point we're eyeing in the future here at Mercent is the possible inclusion in the future of local store availability on mobile device PLAs. For several years, Google's had a free program that allowed retailers to show local store availability and pricing on their Google shopping results. We expect to see in the future this program may possibly roll out into mobile and perhaps mobile PLAs. And finally, I want to underscore the importance of having mobile optimized landing pages. This is a critical factor for all retailers, but especially with the growing ubiquity of mobile devices, especially within the shopping landscape. Results have shown that especially during holiday, shoppers continue and increasingly are using mobile devices to compare pricing and shop while in store or in other avenues. So what were some of the major changes on the data feed side in the past year on product listing ads? One of the first is the new inclusion of bundles and multi-packs within Google's feed set. These are new attributes and new way to message products that were commonly sent to Google. It's important to first note the purpose of all of this. Google's doing a lot of matching as products are delivered to the Merchant Center and trying to combine products to create a better consumer experience. Through this experience, they'd found that products that were commonly bundled or packaged together in multiple quantities would at times contain the unique product identifier for only one of those products, ultimately creating a mismatch and ultimately not providing a high quality shopping experience. From a retailer standpoint, this also helps better differentiate your products, as your products that may have unique packaging or bundling can now be marketed alongside similar products or possibly standalone items. So I'll break this down for you. First off, we have bundles. Think of a bundle as a combination of more than one product that are not similar. Here you have an example. We have a merchant-defined bundle. Think of a package of cologne, including a deodorant. Here you have the package that was provided by the manufacturer, and this package will have an individual UPC or unique product identifier that messages both products included within that bundle. You also have what's called a merchant-defined bundle. You can see in this example, that would be a camera included in what would be called a camera gift set or a camera set, where you have a digital camera, including a memory card, a case, and perhaps some cleaning supplies. These may be packaged uniquely by the merchant and are not packaged directly from the manufacturer. When posting these products to Google, it's important to include the unique product identifier for the major product being marketed in that bundle, in this case, the digital camera. It's also important to note that this product is a bundle when sending it to Google. Next, you have multi-packs. Multi-packs are combinations of similar or products of the same nature. A manufacturer-defined multi-pack, as shown here as a package of socks, is fairly simple. These come from the manufacturer in the individual packaging and have an individual unique product identifier. However, a merchant-defined multi-pack can be a little bit more complicated. A merchant-defined multi-pack would be more than one product that are the same in nature, packaged together. As you can see, that would be something like a 2-pack of iPhone screen protectors. These may be packaged uniquely by the merchant and will not have a unique product identifier exclusive to the package or the multi-pack. Therefore, Google will require a new attribute be delivered to message this product as well as the quantity of products available. This is called the merchant multi-pack quantity value. Without including this value, Google will actually reject your product based upon the new data quality standards. They'll also require that there is a unique product identifier provided for this product dependent on category, but that unique product identifier is inclusive of the main item being packaged in this multi-pack. In this example, it would be the unique product identifier for one single iPhone screen protector. Now, it's important to note that the overall unique product identifier enforcement has also increased in Google's new data quality policies. Google recently rolled out new policies in July around unique product identifiers. We've seen many retailers that haven't complied with this have begun to see products being rejected from Google Shopping. These products are not live on PLA ads, and they won't be marketed during holiday unless the unique product identifier rules are followed. Here's a breakdown of how those rules are positioned now by Google and the new standards they're requiring. First off, we have media categories. Media categories now require a UPC, EAN, or JAN number, depending on region. Books now require an ISBN value. Clothing still has very limited unique product identifiers. At this point, Google only requires a brand name. However, it's important to make sure that brand name is correct and exact, as Google will be matching these products based on query as well as similarity in the Google Shopping experience. However, the specific subcategory of accessories, or shoes, handbags, sunglasses, and watches, do have different unique product identifier requirements compared to that of broad clothing. Think of the requirements here really being specific to having additional values such as a GTIN as well as a brand value. So for retailers that sell both apparel or clothing products as well as apparel accessories such as shoes, they're going to want to make sure they have both of these values present. Google also accepts most commonly a manufacturer part number in replace for a GTIN value. So if you're a retailer that doesn't have UPCs for your shoes, you can typically include a manufacturer part number alongside the brand, but two values are required. Google's also begun to message what they're calling custom goods. These are products that may be custom from the retailer and don't have unique product identifiers. In the past, Google may have given a waiver and not requiring unique product identifiers. Google now requires that these products be messaged with a new attribute called the identifier exists. This attribute indicates to Google that this is a custom product and therefore should be matched differently in the Google Shopping result set. And finally, other categories. It's important to note that other categories do require multiple unique product identifiers. In most cases, it's a combination of GTIN or MPN and brand. So for retailers looking at their data feed before holiday, think about focusing on including UPCs as well as manufacturer part numbers, as well as having a very strong brand attribute being defined within your data feed. Next, we want to talk about some holiday findings and trends from last year. Kai and I have access to a lot of data, both from the Mercent side of things as well as the Marin platform perspective, and we wanted to present this data today for the audience to have a better understanding of what we saw in last year's holiday and how retail advertisers can capitalize upon these learnings moving into this year. First off, this is a view of Mercent same-store sales data over the past 2 years. I'd like to first preface this with our methodology. Mercent same-store sales data is 15 months of consecutive activity on a channel by a retailer. So we look at this data set here. This is inclusive of both free and paid Google Shopping last year, or Google Product Search and PLA as it was at the time, as well as the Google Shopping only commercial experience that's now taken over. What we've seen over the past few months here is rapid acceleration in sales growth year over year for Google's new commercial experience. This has continued to increase consecutively over the last 5 months, peaking last month at over 90% year-over-year growth. This data really indicates the impetus for retailers to begin to think differently about PLA if they aren't doing so already. We expect that during this holiday, PLA will likely become one of the stronger contributors for a retailer's overall bottom line, and may be one of the biggest contributors to their success during the holiday season. So Kai, I know at Marin you guys have access to a very broad set of data. You know, this Mercent data is specific to the retailer standpoint and the retailer sales base, but Marin has a unique perspective where they have a much larger view of the overall search experience.
Yeah, definitely. What I want to do is take a broad look at PLAs and the impact of PLAs on the paid search landscape in general. And so Marin took a sampling of our online advertising index, and we took a look primarily at 3 key metrics. The first one being impression share versus standard text ads, and then click-through rate and CPC. So during the 2012 holiday season, from September through December, the share of PLA impressions to text ads grew 60%, and this was tremendous growth at the time. However, since then, PLA impressions have stalled and somewhat dipped, decreasing 2% in June and subsequently 13% in July compared to January of 2013. Now, there are a lot of reasons why this may have occurred, and 2 of the ones that sort of stand out is that in July, Google successfully transitioned to enhanced campaigns. And with that, a number of changes occurred that definitely sort of altered the paid search landscape. On top of that, Google also updated the product feed specifications in mid-May. So the requirement for exempt retailers to now use unique product identifiers went into effect in July. And that actually prevented some retailers who violated this feed specification from serving PLAs. So regardless of the causes, though, we expect this stall in impression share to shift with Google's recent expansion of PLAs onto mobile devices with enhanced campaigns. And also the prevalence of mobile users to shop and research products on the go, especially during the holiday season when they're shopping constantly. So over the next 3 months, as more retailers enter the PLA landscape and as product-related searches increase heading into the holiday season, we do predict the share of PLA impressions versus standard text ads to increase dramatically like we saw in 2012. So taking a look at click-through rates, specifically to PLAs, despite the initial stall in the share of impressions, shoppers continue to find PLAs rather than text ads to be more relevant to their product searches, regardless of seasonality. So if you take a look at the graph here, PLA click-through rates have actually remained higher than standard text ads since November 2012, and actually hit a record 21% higher than standard text ads in June and July of 2013. So this is very significant. We believe that this was caused by merchants and retailers presenting more optimized product feeds. Also, the increased familiarity of PLAs among shoppers. This has really created a progressively engaging shopping experience. In July 2013, PLA CTRs increased 19% year over year and have increased each month since February of 2013. So this is a tremendous growth and a great trend that we're seeing with PLAs. We expect click-through rates to continue increasing as mobile shoppers begin embracing this highly engaging format heading into the holiday season. So we really think that this is just the tip of the iceberg, and we will continue to see click-through rates rise this year in Q4. Now, moving to cost per click, in addition to the year-over-year increases in click volume, retailers are also benefiting from lower CPCs for PLAs compared to text ads. So PLAs are not only cheaper, but they also perform better from a click-through rate perspective than text ads. And this is certainly a win-win situation for retailers. However, it is important to keep in mind that in July of this year, PLA CPCs increased 53% year over year, while text ads only increased 10%. So the CPCs have really accelerated in the increase in CPCs over the last year, and have soared actually 34% compared to January 2013. So in June, it actually reached an all-time high. CPCs were at an all-time high. The accelerated inflation for PLA CPCs year over year, we believe can primarily be attributed to the increase in competition as retailers continue to adopt PLAs and really drive ad spend through this engaging ad format. Now, what does this all mean for both retailers as well as Google? Well, when we think about that win-win situation where PLAs aren't only cheaper, but they also perform better, there really is an opportunity here for Google to expand the reach of PLAs. And the first one being, and this is something that we're already seeing, is that Google is introducing or thinking about introducing additional PLAs to the SERP. So recently, Google has been testing displaying up to 16 PLAs in an expandable box. And on top of that, we believe that with this improved performance for product-related searches, Google might almost be inclined to shift PLAs from the top right to the top left, where standard text ads are typically shown. And the reason for this is because, based on eye tracking studies, that's where consumers look first. And if PLAs are performing better than text ads for these particular queries, it would make sense for Google to start shifting where they put ads so that users are more likely to engage for those particular product-related searches. So with that, I want to hand it back off to Anthony to walk through some holiday best practices.
Well, first, one of the trends that we've seen that's been very interesting over the past 2 years has been the rapid increase of PLA contribution to retail sales later in the holiday period. This trend shows 2011 and 2012, the overall percentage of sales or sales contribution from PLA versus overall AdWords sales. So think of this as PLA's share of the pie in terms of retailer sales from AdWords. This data is presented from the clients that are managed by Mercent on both retail text ads as well as retail product listing ads. The first thing we've seen is the rapid increase year over year. So last year in 2012, we saw that as the new commercial model really began to take effect in holiday, retailers began to continue to increase their overall spend and overall sales contribution going to PLAs in 2012. We expect this trend will continue, as Kai's data showed earlier. So we do anticipate that come holiday this year, beginning of the holiday season will be very strong for the overall PLA practice and PLA ad unit. The most interesting trend, though, has been what's happened later in the holiday season. And you can see this shown here by the overall peaks mentioned in 2011 and 2012. What we've seen is that post-Cyber Week, when most retailers are really beginning to drive those last-minute incremental sales, PLAs actually begin to take more of a share of the overall AdWords pie. Last year in 2012, we saw that up until the week before holiday, when really most retailers were close to hitting their shipping cutoff windows, PLA provided actually more incremental sales in week 12 of holiday than overall text ads from AdWords. So if we look at these trends and read the tea leaves here, I think the expectation is that by this holiday, late in holiday season, post-Cyber Week, PLAs could be contributing up to 60% or more of your overall AdWords weekly sales late in the holiday season. And for any retailer, your ability to drive those last-minute sales becomes very critical for your overall success in holiday. So if we look at PLA as a scalable ad unit that is very cost-effective, these numbers seem to indicate that actually it may be the best use of your incremental dollar post-Cyber Week. So if you're looking to add additional budget in early December, late November, we would definitely recommend adding that budget and testing more aggressively within PLAs late in the holiday season. And what are the other lessons that we've learned so far from PLA? Here's a few base metrics that we've observed through those clients managed through the Mercent platform on both retail search and retail PLA ads. First off is the observation that the vast majority of PLA ads are currently serving on non-trademark queries. When we speak here of non-trademark, it's non-retailer trademark. So not the retailer's name, not the retailer's individual trademark. However, for a brand advertiser, these numbers are a little bit different. But for the average retailer that's selling third-party product, majority of your PLA queries are actually coming on non-trademark terms. This represents a huge cost efficiency. Typically, non-trademark terms are a little bit more difficult for conversion for retailers, and as Kai showed, those terms can typically be a little bit higher from a search standpoint in terms of cost per click. As a result, we've seen an average of 40% of our retailers' non-trademark budget actually now being allocated towards PLA ads. We use this as a benchmark when talking to any new retailer to get an understanding of how their PLA ads play within the overall share of budget within PLA or within AdWords. Now, Kai, I know you have some interesting data here as well, represented across the entire Marin platform over the past few months.
Yeah, so just to touch on some of the data points that I covered earlier in the trends, to revisit that win-win situation for retailers. In July of this year, heading into the holiday season, click-through rates were 21% higher versus your standard text ad, and CPCs were 82% lower than standard text ads. So this really, really highlights the trends that I was showing everyone earlier is that, with higher CTRs and lower CPCs, PLAs, it's really the new wave of ads for retailers, especially during the busy season. So this again just stresses the importance of understanding exactly what PLAs mean for the entire search industry, but more specifically the potential, the revenue potential for retailers in Q4.
All this sounds great. Product listing ads are high converting. The auction currently has efficiencies versus text-based ads on similar queries, but PLAs do require a lot of work, and what we often find is most overlooked by most search advertisers is the importance of the data feed. It starts with the fact that you don't have keywords to bid on PLA. Those queries come from the category structure, the title structure, and the descriptions that you're messaging within your data feed. One of the easiest, most incremental opportunities for retailers is to send more frequent updates of product pricing and inventory to Google. First off, during high velocity periods like holiday, products are constantly selling out, especially if you have variant items like an apparel product in a specific size and color that you might be marketing on Google. Those products can sell out very rapidly during holiday. So for a retailer only updating their data feed once a day, you're oftentimes losing out on a very large amount of traffic that isn't converting because those products are currently out of stock. Also keep in mind that one of Google's major factors for overall product quality score is the accuracy of product pricing and availability. Some of you may have seen messages indicated in your Google Merchant Center's data quality section talking about inconsistent pricing and availability. These errors can seriously derail a campaign, and for those retailers only updating their data feed once a day, you may be missing out or incurring a high percentage of these errors. So we recommend at Mercent all retailers ensure that they're sending updates to Google in the Google Merchant Center as soon as pricing and availability changes on their website. At Mercent, we do this through integrating with Google's Content API for shopping. Here we can send incremental updates as often as every 10 to 15 minutes that are injected in real time into Google's Merchant Center. These updates are essentially sending only those products that have changed pricing, availability, or are new to Google, instead of sending an entire data feed and waiting for a period of time for that to be updated on Google when only a small number of products actually were changed. And finally, it's important to, before holiday, really focus on the errors that are messaged within your Google Merchant Center in the data feeds and data quality sections. This error resolution process can be critical. Every incremental product added to Google Shopping before holiday is another opportunity to grow your overall sales from PLA. So keep an eye on the products that are being rejected based on some of the new data quality standards we talked about earlier. Also keep an eye on overall themes that Google is messaging within the data quality section of Merchant Center. These can help you better understand the way that Google is judging your quality score, as well as ways you can improve your site performance from PLAs by having more accurate information on pricing, availability, or other attributes that may be misaligned with your data feed. Next, an important point to focus on before holiday is campaign structure. This is a simplified example of how we view campaign structure within the Mercent platform. So here you have an example of high-margin products, here high-margin Rolex watches, that are performing better than all other watches within your catalog. The savvy marketer is looking to find a way to bid more aggressively on these individual products and try to achieve additional traffic opportunities on this small subset of products within their overall category. This is accomplished by drilling down into the individual product categories, product lines, and brands within your data feed, and setting these up as separate product targets within AdWords. Within Mercent, we even go as far as setting up gross margin-based product targets and price-based product targets. Also looking at things like how new products are to the data feed. If products come into your data feed and it may be new exciting offerings to shoppers, you may want to market these products separately than other products in your feed. Look at all of these factors and think about the way you merchandise product on your site when building your overall campaign structure. And remember this example, look for those products that are high performing. The products that have the highest return are the products you want to add incremental budget to and begin to bid and break out more aggressively within your overall product target structure. Think about drilling down and mining for those products that are best performing during holiday and continuing to push for incremental opportunities to drive more traffic to your site. Now I know, Kai, within Google's new enhanced campaigns, Marin has done a lot to enable some of the new settings and capabilities for adjustments and enhancements. I'd like you to talk a little bit about that in the perspective of holiday.
Yeah, definitely. So let's talk a little bit about campaign settings, specifically budgets, negatives, and also bid adjustments. So with PLA budgets, as Anthony highlighted, throughout the holiday season, there is a very, very gradual ramp up of revenue opportunities, even heading into December, all the way until the shipping deadline in December. And so what we want to make sure retailers are doing is being very aware of how much budget they have available and where they can allocate that more efficiently so that they can maximize revenue across the entire Q4 holiday season. So we do recommend that advertisers continue to monitor their budgets, have alerts in place, understand exactly where budgets are capping out and where excess budget is available so that it can be reallocated to campaigns that are actually performing well. So if you do work with multiple PLA campaigns, understanding exactly where those dollars should go to maximize revenue during the holidays is going to be critical. Also, we want to think about our negative keywords and our approach to negatives. So one of the first things that you want to take a look at are what were the negative keywords that were added throughout the year, excluding the holiday season? Some of these keywords may not have converted during the off season, but actually might be great opportunities to capture additional incremental revenue during the holiday season. So always revisit your negative keywords and ensure that you do have a nice list of negatives, but that they aren't blocking potential revenue opportunities. Also, poor performing product targets or high volume product targets that don't necessarily convert very well for you have more of a potential to eat up valuable budget, especially in Q4. So we recommend that retailers engage in negative keyword refinement early and often heading into Q4, which is going to be the busiest time of the year. So the more of these sort of irrelevant or unwanted clicks that you can prevent, the more money you can reallocate towards those particular product targets that are going to really drive revenue for you. And then the last piece is just thinking about bid adjustments with enhanced campaigns. So the first one for location, where appropriate, we do recommend that retailers continue to separate out their campaigns by geography due to the lack of a value track parameter for tracking revenue by geography. So one of the strategies that we recommend is, or the examples that I like to give for a strategy is if you sell, let's say, snowboards, you may want to bid higher in regions like California and Colorado where snow is readily available and bid down areas such as Florida and Hawaii where there's not as much snow. The next piece is time of day. So if you do find that users are converting at a higher rate after work, let's say after 5 p.m., you want to make sure that you account for that and set an increase in bids during those peak hours for that particular campaign. And then the last piece, and probably the most important one, is device. So as shoppers turn to their mobile devices more in their buying decision, you want to make sure that you're paying attention to your mobile bid adjustments. And also, with mobile devices now having PLAs delivered to them, keep in mind that there's a limited SERP real estate, and you want to make sure that you're bidding aggressively for your top performing product targets. But then again, you also want to pay attention to performance. So if mobile converts lower than desktop devices for certain product targets, you want to make sure that you have the appropriate bid adjustments in place.
Next, we want to talk a little bit about some important areas within the data feed to focus on in the coming weeks before holiday. First, we want to make sure that all retail advertisers are aware of the way that Google approves new items into the Merchant Center. During holiday, it's inevitable that retailers will expand their catalog and begin to sell new product lines on Google Shopping. However, it's important to know that new products introduced to the Merchant Center can be delayed up to 48 hours, as Google will put these products through what they call an item review process. The review process is often dependent upon category, so more sensitive categories such as supplements may take longer to be reviewed. However, keep in mind that a product that is awaiting review or messaged as such, as you can see in this example from a Google Merchant Center account, these products are currently not for sale and not marketable through Google Shopping. Although they may be in your data feed, they're not currently active within your active product targets. So it's important to submit these products in advance as out of stock. Let Google approve these products, let them go live, but they will not yet be marketed on Google Shopping because they're marked as out of stock. Once they are available for sale, you can then switch the availability to in stock, and you'll be able to market these products through Google Shopping. Therefore, they're approved in advance. You have the ability to get them live very quickly as they're available for sale on your site. One of the most important areas to focus on within your data feed is the title structure. There's a lot of recommendations around product title, but I think it starts with title length. Remember that Google allows 70 characters or less for your product title. Anything longer than that will have a slightly diminished quality score, as well as be truncated by Google. So in essence, it's not really valuable for you to put a title over 70 characters. It's also important to keep in mind that many PLA ads don't show the full title until the shopper hovers over your product. Therefore, putting important attributes up front is oftentimes more vital for your overall success within PLAs. It's always good to test these attributes and test the order of the attributes you're structuring within your product title. as certain formats can convert better and can click better than others within a product category. But for a simplified example, it's important to always include your variant attributes as well within your data feed, especially if you sell apparel products. These offer long tail opportunities for additional query coverage. So here's an example where we have a base title. We have 3 color variants within this product group, all containing the same base title. You can see here the Ralph Lauren polo shirt. However, in this example, we've also added very important attributes like brand name, gender, as well as material to this title to create more keyword coverage and ultimately provide more relevancy within the product title. Next, you can see each variant attribute contains additional data at the end of the product title. This will allow Google to serve your colorized images on Google Shopping. So somebody searching for a blue polo will find an image of your actual blue polo. But also, it'll allow you to expand your coverage across a much larger base of queries. At the same time, having the same base title allows Google to understand that these products are all very similar, and allows you to better refine and better control the queries that are being served within this set of products. Finally, it's important to note that all products within a variant set should always be grouped with the item group ID within your Google feed. This extra attribute helps Google understand that these products are indeed related, more so than just messaging that with a consistent product title. And next, I want to cover some best practices around color. We talked about messaging color in title, but many products contain more than one color. And in some cases, those colors can be proprietary to your catalog and may not be very relevant within a search query context. So we always recommend using a normalized color within your title, however, using your proprietary colors within the color attribute of your Google feed. Google has new policies around the product color attribute that should be followed and could prevent your products from going live by holiday. First off, all colors must be 40 characters or less. This is a simple rule to follow, but for products that have multiple colors, this can be problematic. All products that have multiple colors to them should be separated by a / character. This helps Google understand the rank and priority of these colors within a product. So if you have a blue shirt with green stripes, you should message blue as the primary color up front and the accent color being green, as you can see on the left-hand example. Finally, it's important to note that your colors should be specific and include actual color names. Don't include things like multicolor or numbers colors. Try to include, where possible, colors that are relevant to a search context. Also make sure those colors are structured according to Google's policies and contain the proper order and priority. Therefore, Google can better understand how to serve your products within the context of Google Shopping. Finally, I want to talk a little bit about images. For the first time, Google has now indicated requirements around images that are delivered to Google Shopping. This is something that may be overlooked by some retailers, as images are often harder to judge and measure within your data feed. However, can be very critical for overall success and increased click-through rate on Google Shopping ads. First thing to note is that apparel items now require a unique image per color variation. So in that previous example, we have a polo shirt. If you're sending colorized products that don't have colorized images, Google will reject those products because you have an overlap in images. If you send a blue shirt, it needs to have a blue color now, according to Google's new policies. So for retailers that aren't sending colorized images, you should look in your data quality errors and see if your products are indeed being rejected over the past few months as Google's began to enforce these new policies. Next, it's important to note that Google has now recommended sizes as well as a required size for the apparel category. The recommended size for images is now 800 by 800 pixels. At Mercent, we recommend all of our clients to evaluate their image size as well as the image size of new products added to their catalog. Make sure that you're including images of a high quality and that are of a size that Google is recommending or requiring. Within the apparel category, the required image size is now 250 by 250. If your images are smaller than this size, Google again can reject your product before going live on Google Shopping. So we had a lot of content to cover today. Kai, it'd be great if you could summarize the final thoughts for our audience.
Through our partnership, Marin and Mercent helped retailers acquire more revenue online, especially during the busy season of Q4. And in preparation for that period, retailers should continue to leverage promotions and also expand their PLA campaigns to target mobile devices, as this is becoming a new revenue opportunity for retailers. With PLA adoption increasing at extraordinary rate, retailers also need to be mindful of their budgets, especially with the holidays just around the corner. Efficient budget allocation will enable retailers to maximize their revenue potential. And as we saw, PLAs are not only cheaper than standard text ads, but they also perform much better. And this is a win-win situation. So the final thought here is that for the same reasons that marketers optimize text ads to maximize revenue, retailers must also continuously optimize their product feeds and product attributes, which combine to create a highly rich and relevant ad experience. So as you head into the busy season, you want to make sure that you continuously refresh your feed and tweak your attributes and optimize your feed so that you can present the best possible PLA to your customers.
Thank you for your time. We really appreciate both of you being on the call today. Do either of you have any closing comments?
Yeah, I appreciate everyone for attending.
We're definitely happy to be here today talking with Kai and the Marin team. Our overall software platforms do help address many of the complicated questions we talked about today as they pertain to PLAs, data feeds, and campaign management.
This previously recorded webinar was followed by a question and answer session. The complete transcript of the webinar, along with Q&A, is available on Mercent's website. For further information about Marin products and services, contact Marin Software at info@marinsoftware.com or 415-399-2580. You can follow Marin on Twitter @Marin Software. For further information about Mercent Retail SaaS platform and our PLA solution, contact us at hello@mercent.com. or 206-832-3971. You can follow us on Twitter @Mercent. Until next time, thanks for joining us.